Hi, Miss Leslie. How are you doing today?
Hi, Zeta. I'm okay. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty okay. So today, I want to go through a little bit how our days are going to be planning out and how the session is going to be. Okay. I want to talk
Okay.
a little bit about how you're doing, how things are feeling, if you're seeing any kind of difference. After that, I would like to discuss a little bit about the homework assignments that we gave you. And then I want to try that role playing that I spoke to you about last week, and kind of have you bring up situations during the day that you started having those mindsets where you're like, I should do more, I should be more, that kind of energy. And then we'll
hmm
go back and forth with each other and how we should be thinking instead of that. And then
Okay.
finally, we're going to discuss like how everything's planning out, if you feel like we've worked through our process, and then if anything we can discuss also if you have to continue, you would like to continue doing counseling sessions so we can close them out and have them for when you're having another crisis moment. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so let me know, how have you been feeling with the tools that we've been using to deal with all the things in your life, and how are you feeling with the anxiety and the stressors?
I feel like the tools that you assigned me last week were really helpful. I've been noticing that I catch myself when some of those thoughts come in my head, and I sit there and think about, like, what's the truth to this thought, and just kind of work through it that way. I thought
Mhm.
it was really helpful.
And how about when you have those moments where you trigger your fight and flight? Have those diminished?
Um, Not all together, because that's always been a work in progress for me, but and also I'm feeling under the weather. So sometimes when that is going on, I'm just like the patience level is down here. But so there have been some of those instances, but definitely I've been more conscious of it. Absolutely. I barked at my husband last night in the middle of the night because he got up to get water, and I didn't feel good. So I got up this morning and and I apologized and whatever, but I'm catching my behaviors and trying to calm down. So,
It's understandable. I mean, you're not feeling well. I hear that you have that cough. So, I mean, this is not your normal, right? And so,
mhm.
for you to every once in a while snap off for something that you would normally not, but it's nice and considerate the fact that you're taking that moment to acknowledge the fact that it's not normal and that you apologize for it. So,
Mhm.
that's really good because it's helping a lot the communication between both of you, and that's one of the biggest concerns that you had.
Right. Absolutely. I agree.
Can you let me know a little bit more about the relationships at work?
This week was a lot better. I kind of just like thought about what you said, and I just didn't take certain behaviors to heart, and I just slowed down the pace of what I would. Sorry, I'm a little foggy. When there's that one case manager who always bothers me and is difficult, but this week I'm just like, okay, I would tell myself he's just doing his job the best he can. This is his personality. We can't all be the same. So I felt way more grounded. I feel like this week was a lot better at work.
I like
Absolutely.
that a
Mhm.
lot. And the fact that you're feeling very grounded is it's very good because it doesn't feel like how when you first were discussing it where you felt so overwhelmed and like if you were juggling so many things at once. Right now it
Right.
feels, even your tone feels a lot more settled, even though I know you
Yeah.
feel a little bit under the weather.
Yeah. I do feel a lot more settled. I can only do what I can do. I can't make miracles happen all the time. It is what it is sometimes. And I'm only one person, so.
Last week, we were talking about the expectations that you had for yourself. What would make you a good person? And you were
Mhm.
telling me doing the best that you can.
Mhm.
And the way that you're expressing yourself today about how you are at work expresses that exactly. And not only that, but then you're creating that expectation for the people around you. I'm
Mhm.
noticing, like, when you were talking about that counselor that was a little bit difficult, caseworker that's a little bit difficult,
Mhm.
you said, well, I understand that he's just trying to do the best that he can, which this is why core beliefs are so important to pin down,
Mhm.
because since your core belief before was you have to be perfect because that's what was instilled in you, then you expected the same of everyone around you. That
Yes.
required everybody to be perfect, and then everything felt chaotic. But when you
Yes.
shifted that core belief, then it became one, you give more grace to the people around you because you
Right.
realize everybody is just doing to their best capacity.
Right. I agree. Absolutely. It's been
I
very
think that's the
helpful.
reason, yeah, that's the reason I like um, using this form of therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, because what you do is that you kind of consciously pay attention to your script and how you
Yes.
push that agenda not only onto yourself but to everything around you.
Right.
And so, yeah. Um, so now let's go back to what we were talking about last week, where we were talking about these stringent, I want to say, parameters that your mom had for you, and how these things were kind of made you the person that you are, made you feel like you had to be perfect, and made you feel like you can't make any mistakes, even though these, you did explain that she wasn't a person that would ever be satisfied.
Right.
Um, so I want to go back to that. And
Mhm.
during the week, when you said that you were having moments that you would stop and think, can you tell me some of the, I want to say, negative thought processes that went through your mind, or something that was not productive?
Um, Geez, let me think. Let me think. Oh, I don't know if, geez, I don't know. Um, Sorry. Like negative thought processes, like my son made me mad, so I yelled at him, but then I felt guilty, like that, or
Sure. Why did you
okay.
feel guilty?
Because I don't want to yell at him. I don't think that's very productive, but he, I had asked him several times to, you know, get his project done, and it just he was goofing off, and after a while I'm just like, I lost it. I'm like, get it together. And then all of a sudden it's a whole thing. I don't like it when you yell at me, and I'm like, oh my god, I asked you 7 times.
And when he confronts you and tells you that he doesn't like you when he yells at you, what are the thought processes that come to your mind?
um well, honestly, I get annoyed because I'm like, I've asked you 17 times. Like, I mean, I tell him you have to be accountable for your actions as well. Like, how would you feel if you were asking your friend something over and over and over? Like, eventually people get upset. But then I still have the guilt of, I need to be a perfect mom.
And now we remember that we talked about that word guilt,
Yeah.
and how I would like you to switch that word from guilt to regret.
Oh, I
Because
regret.
guilt means
Yeah.
that you're judging yourself.
Yeah. So I regret
And
yelling at my son, but he wasn't listening to me, and I'm only human. I don't know.
right. And see, the difference is that because guilt is this feeling of judging yourself. I'm a terrible mom. regret is, I wish we could have gotten to this and fixed the problem before it got this bad, but because of the circumstances, I needed to react this way to get a response from you.
Right.
And so just a little shift of the words like that changes where that word or that feeling sits inside of us.
Right. Absolutely. That makes sense.
So where else do you feel like you've been guilty this week?
I ate too many cookies one day. There was a day where I ate like junk food and had 3 glasses of wine, and I was like self-loathing.
So then you got to a point where you're like,
well, it was kind of like, oh, great. Now I'm not going to meet my goal of looking the way I want to look. It's like this perfection thing, you know, in every area of my life. Perfect
that's
mom.
good,
Perfect,
because this is bringing up exactly what we're talking about, because that core belief that was planted in you when you were a child about having to be perfect in the way you presented yourself to the people around you, because she said that you needed to look perfect for her, and you needed to behave perfectly for her, and you needed to speak perfectly for her. So these, believe it or not, something like that really does affect many different aspects of our lives. We have a tendency to now want to be that person always, you know? And again, I want to reiterate, it's not that your mom was wrong in the way that she was behaving. It was just that she was unhealed, and unhealed people continued the same process. So it's not like bashing on your mom or saying that she's so terrible. We are meeting her where she was at. And at that moment, she felt that the only way that you were going to have a good life was if you looked a certain way, if you behaved a certain way, if you spoke a certain way. And right now, when you ate all those things that you probably did because you weren't feeling well, right?
No, I have addiction with sugar. I love sugar.
Okay.
Now.
So, but usually when we have an addiction to sugar, it's because we're low in energy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. So keep that in mind also when you're going through that. Also, I was reading this article that said that when we crave sugar, we're actually craving like chromium, I think, or something, and grapes are really good with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I curbed a sugar craving that way. But what we're doing is that. So instead of saying I'm guilty of not taking care of myself, I'm guilty for like letting my mom down, let's say, because I'm not taking care of my physical body, right? Then you'll be like, you know, I regret having to eat all this stuff, but at that moment, it's what I needed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I want to switch that word of guilt, because it will help you a lot.
I agree. Absolutely.
Because remember, everything I do, I want it to be small, easy, smart tools, right? And so just that simple word of let's not use guilt and let's use regret.
Right.
Okay. So our time is coming kind of to an end today, but I wanted to make sure that we assessed everything that we wanted to do from the beginning and see if we concluded it. The reason we're doing that is because I want to see if we can end our counseling sessions or if we need to continue them. Okay? So
you're frozen.
Dealt with relationships and have tools from that. And
can you repeat it, Zeta? Like, you were frozen.
Oh, I'm sorry. So back to the beginning. So we're trying to do like an assessment to see if we have like fulfilled the need that you have. And when we first started the session, as we go through the process, we're seeing if we need to conclude your therapy sessions or if we need to continue them. Okay. So when you first started, you wanted things that had to do with tools and resources that can help you deal with relationships so that you wouldn't have anxiety. Do you think that you've received that?
Absolutely. It's a work in progress, but I definitely feel like I'm in a better place.
So then with cognitive behavioral therapy, I give you tools that you can continue using, and then you can self-adjust and self-assess And then when you hit another hiccup, like where you're hitting, kind of like when you first came to me that you were feeling that stress, then we can come back to doing counseling and kind of work through tools that you can do to move forward. Okay. So since
Okay.
we've concluded that energy of tools that you needed to help with relationships, I think we can close off that part of the session. I do believe that the part of the session that has to do with your growing up and these negative programmings that we're trying to readjust, right there, I think we can do a little bit more work. Would you agree?
Absolutely, yes.
So if you would like, one of the options that we do have is virtual counseling sessions. So whenever you need a time away and you need to just consult me, then we can set up a time and we can talk virtually.
Okay,
So
absolutely.
so for right now, we're closing out the aspect of our therapy that has to do with your relationships and the tools that you need to do to cope with the anxiety of that. Closing out doesn't mean that we don't readdress them if they come back up. But it's just that topic is the one we're going to be closing out. And then we're going to be moving more into the topic that has to come with your core belief systems and how we're going to adjust them. And so our tools will be geared upon that, working towards healing that mindset and showing these words, like I said, like regret, switching to from guilt to regret, and shifting where you place that, the guilt and the judgment on yourself.
Okay.
Okay. Can you give
Okay.
me some feedback as to where you feel that you would like more work on?
Sorry, the thunder just really slammed on my ceiling. That was scary. Um, just changing these negative, like what I'd want to work on more. That's what you asked. I'm sorry, the thunder was
Mhm.
distracting. Yes. I think I would just like to explore more about, how I view myself, and how it projects to other people, and, keep working through that probably.
That would be fabulous. So then we'll make a plan of, I want to do like more role playing with you. So during the week, when you do have a negative like thought process of yourself, like feeling guilty, feeling, well, regretful, right? Not guilty, but regretful, or something that you're judging yourself in, I would like you just to jot it down. And then in our following sessions, we'll
Oh,
go through these words, right?
okay.
And then when we go through these words, we'll do a back and forth role playing to see how we can adjust those words and move forward.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds
I
fun.
thank you, Leslie, for taking the time with me and for allowing me to be part of your healing journey.
Thank you so much, Zeta.
All right. You have a great day.
You too.